Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Deku craved Katsuki part 1. If you guys enjoy this what if and want to see part 2, comment down below and let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content and leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also share this video with your friends and check out the description in my playlist. The author of the story Bakudeku Simp 3000 from Wattpad. So let's start the video. Deku looked up sheepishly at the older blonde man who was his landlord. The handsome man always made Deku's heart race whenever he came around. 18. Izuku, this is the second time you've missed paying your rent. When do you think you'll have the money to pay it? Sorry, sir. I got laid off last month and I've been trying to find a new job. Deku's cheeks were red with embarrassment. Katsuki sighed, running his fingers through his hair. Look, I get that times are rough with this whole pandemic, but I need my tenants to pay on time so I can pay my mortgage on this building. I have an interview today. If it goes well, I'll be able to pay you back soon. What do you expect me to do if you don't get the job? Katsuki was fond of the cute, shy young man. He honestly felt bad about this situation, but he had an apartment building to maintain. 11. Deku grabbed one of Katsuki's hands and looked him in the eyes. His face turning beet red. I can pay you another way. His heart racing, not able to believe what he had just said. 65. Katsuki's eyes widened, wondering if this shy creature had just propositioned him. What do you mean by that? 5. Don't make me say it. You're gonna have to clear things up, Izuku. What did you mean by another way? Deku was staring at his feet, not able to make eye contact anymore. I'll let you F me. 107. Katsuki coughed in surprise. This was something straight out of a porno. Could he really do that? Sleep with a tenant in exchange for rent. 10. You have any experience? Katsuki asked. He wouldn't be surprised if the answer was no. A little, Izuku mumbled. 26. Katsuki loved the way those freckles stood out more when Izuku was embarrassed. Those gorgeous emerald green eyes flicked up from time to time, trying to guess what Katsuki was thinking. Fine, but I get to F you whenever and however I want. 51. However he wants. Izuku's heart sped up at the mental picture of himself tied up to his bed while his landlord took him hard, making him his 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗍𝗑. 136. Okay, his answer coming out more breathless than he intended. Katsuki walked Izuku to his bedroom and tossed the green net onto the bed. Get naked. I want to see all of you. 45. Izuku felt like he could die from embarrassment. He had never been fully naked in front on anybody. The look Katsuki was giving him meant he was running out of patience. Deku removed his clothes and covered his privates with his hands. Katsuki got naked and crawled on top of Izuku. His pee hard with excitement. I want to F your face for a bit. 16. What? 46. Katsuki gave no response. He moved up and held his pee down, touching the tip to Izuku's lips. He opened up the small male's mouth and sunk in halfway. Deku's eyes shot open with surprise as Katsuki moved in and out farther, making tears spring in his eyes. 3. F this feels good, Katsuki growled, pushing in one more time all the way before pulling out. Deku gasped for air. Do you have any lube? It will hurt if you don't. Izuku grabbed the bottle off the nightstand. Katsuki spread it over his large member and crawled in between Deku's legs. He spread him wide and placed the tip at his tight hole. 47. I'm not going to prep you. I want you walking around with a sore but reminding you who you belong to. 40. Deku held onto Katsuki's shoulders, waiting for the first painful move. Katsuki pushed in the head gently. Deku gasped in pain. His nails digging in, leaving prints in the blonde skin. I'm sorry. I can't hold back. Katsuki sunk his entire length in one go. 2. Ow. Deku cried, trying to get away. 56. I'm sorry, babe. I'll go slower. Just relax. Katsuki kissed Deku softly, murmuring sweet nothings in his ear, telling him how sexy he is, how his emerald eyes turn him on, and how he dreamed of doing with him. 25. Those words heated Deku's blood. He kissed Katsuki hard and moved up his hips. I'm ready now. You can move. Make me yours, he panted with renewed lust in his eyes. 21. Katsuki pulled out and moved back in slowly. I said F me hard. The change in Deku surprising Katsuki. A smirk appeared on his handsome face. 65, you're gonna regret this. He pulled Izuku to the side of the bed and put his legs over his shoulders. Katsuki started pounding inside of the inexperienced young man whose curly green hair bounced with every move. 43. Katsuki. So good. Izuku grabbed his own PP and stoked it rapidly, chasing that orgasm that was just around the corner. 5. Come for me, slut, Katsuki growled. Hearing Katsuki call him that turned him on so much. Deku arched his back, leaking on his belly. 38. That's hot. Katsuki sped up his breath, leaving him as his orgasm ripped up his spine. He pulled out and laid down next to Izuku. Plus, next time I get to choose the role-play nerd. TodoDeku 3, here Deku. Go try these on. Katsuki had to yell over the music that was thumping in the trendy clothing store. Izuku took the t-shirt and pants Katsuki had picked out for him and went over to the changing room. He grabbed one of the tags and hung it by the curtain, letting people know that the room was occupied. He stripped off his shirt and pants, leaving himself naked except for his underwear. He was about to put on the new shirt when he heard the curtain open. He was sure it would be Katsuki checking in on him. His eyes widened when it wasn't Kaken, but Shoto standing there looking him up and down. Deku's mouth went dry and his heart started to race. Shoto, what are you doing in here? He squeaked, grabbing his shirt to cover his bare chest. Shoto grabbed the shirt and tossed it into the corner. Izuku gasped when Shoto pushed him up against the wall, holding his arms above his head. Izuku looked down shyly. One Shoto leaned in, kissing Deku gently. His tongue grazing Izuku's lower lip, asking for entrance. Deku opened up for Shoto and the bicolored male explored his mouth with his tongue, grinding his 𝗧𝗛𝗢 against the greenettes. The curtain opened again and Katsuki walked in with a CC smirk on his face. Kaken, Izuku said with a guilty look on his face. He had just been caught cheating on his boyfriend and felt ashamed. Death. Shoto, keep going. Katsuki replaced Shoto's hands with his own while the two-toned male sucked on Izuku's neck and grabbed his butt cheeks firmly. Katsuki leaned in, kissing his boyfriend while Shoto flicked his tongue over Izuku's NPL. 𝗕𝗶𝗯𝗹𝗶cie into Kaken's mouth. 48. Get going, icy hot. Katsuki pushed Shoto's head down until it was level with Deku's throbbing 𝗧𝗛𝗢. Shoto pulled down Deku's underwear, surprised by the large member that sprung up into his face. Shoto had to use both hands to grasp the impressive staff. Taking a deep breath, he opened his mouth and took the giant head into his throat. 41. Izuku looked down and watched as his best friend sucked his PP like a pro. Deku pushed his hips forward, putting more of himself inside Shoto's mouth. The bicolored male trying hard not to GG. 20. I think that's enough, half and half. Take off your clothes. All of them. Shoto stripped in front of Deku and Katsuki, revealing a gorgeously toned body with a decent size pages. Katsuki let Izuku's arms go while he stripped away his own clothes. 16. Katsuki stood behind Izuku, his hands pinching his boyfriend's nipples while Shoto was in front stroking Deku's pages. Katsuki dug into his jacket and brought out a small bottle of lube and put some on his fingers. 12. Bend over this stool, nerd. I'm gonna prep that butt. Deku leaned over, a bit embarrassed that he was on full display to his boyfriend and his best friend. Katsuki was stretching him out more than usual, making the greenette gasp when he felt 4 fingers seducing his sensitive entrance. 8. That should be good enough. Shoto, lube up. Katsuki tossed the bottle to Shoto, who popped the cap and spread the cool liquid on his aching member. Katsuki lifted Deku and placed himself under him. He guided his PP inside his boyfriend and stopped, giving Deku a second to adjust. 11. Okay, icy hot. Let's do this. 3. Do what? Izuku started to ask when he felt the tip of Shoto's member pushing forward, stretching out his hole more than it had ever been. Oh, stuff. He huffed. 10. Relax, baby. It'll be okay. Katsuki kissed Deku while stroking his PP firmly. Shoto continued to slowly push in until his entire member was inside Deku. He held still, watching tears stream down Izuku's face. Deku felt full. His butt burning from being overly stretched. 4. Is it okay if I move now? Shoto whispered in his ear. Deku whimpered, but shook his head, giving his consent. Shoto slowly withdrew and pushed back in a little faster with each slide. He was afraid he wouldn't last long. The feel of Izuku's tight heat and Katsuki's PP rubbing up against his felt too good. 14 Katsuki pushed out as Shoto pushed in. The pain Izuku had been feeling turned into pleasure. The three boys were and panting to their hearts' content knowing they wouldn't be heard over the loud music. 27 The repeated pounding of his 𝗕𝗫𝗁𝗍 sent pleasure ripping up Izuku's spine until his body shook hard with the strength of his 𝗕𝗓𝗏. The feeling of Izuku's walls contracting triggered Shoto and Katsuki's orgasms as well. Izuku felt cum filling up his abused hole as a final escaped his lips. They slowly pulled out and sat down on the floor of the changing room cuddling Deku in their strong arms. 5. Happy birthday nerd. A little backstory. Katsuki and Izuku each have a hall pass where they can F one person one time and it's not considered cheating. Shoto is Izuku's and Kiri is Katsuki's. Katsuki knew that his nerd has the hots for Shoto and wanted to make Izuku's birthday special, but to use their pass they needed to talk about it first. That is why Izuku felt like he was cheating. Kiri and Katsuki ended up double-teaming Izuku too. Katsuki gets turned on by Shoto or Kiri destroying his nerd. Poor Izuku gets his butt stuffed at least twice a week. The other times it's just him and his kaken. Dekubowl. Degradation 𝗵/sub-KNK. If you don't like that, don't read. 26 Deku watched as Katsuki helped make dinner for their classmates. His signature smirk showing as much as his rage. His classmates tiptoed around the feisty blonde not wanting to be on the receiving end of his blasts. Katsuki made eye contact with Deku for a mere second, causing the blonde to fumble with his mixing bowl. Deku chuckled, loving the effect he had on his rival. He continued to stare Katsuki down knowing that he was making the blonde more and more uncomfortable. Yet Bakugo knew better than to get mad at him at this hour of the night. One little glare would mean 10 spanks with Deku's leather belt. The last time Katsuki had been smart with Deku, he earned a lashing so hard he needed to see Recovery Girl. 53 Once the food was ready, Katsuki yelled at everyone to serve themselves, but brought Deku his plate, quickly walking away with his head down. When the rest of the students finished with their plates, they washed, dried, and put them away. Katsuki finished before Deku and waited for him to be done. Once Izuku had put his napkin down, Bakugo got up and took both of their plates, cleaned them and put them away. This was all done quickly so their friends wouldn't notice. Deku stared down the ruby-eyed hero and rubbed the bottom of his chin with his knuckles, signaling the blonde to come to his room in 1 hour. Katsuki showed up at exactly 8 p.m. He would be punished if he arrived 1 minute too early or late. Katsuki couldn't wait for Deku to remove the large plug that had been inserted before dinner. Bakugo had been a good boy and hoped he would be rewarded. 29 Deku opened the door and pushed the blonde inside. Bakugo already knew what to do. He got down on all fours and kissed Izuku's bare feet. Deku grabbed him by the hair, pulling him up until they were eye to eye. He allowed Katsuki to kiss him using tongue, the blonde humming his pleasure. 89 Deku shoved him back onto the bed and flipped him over. Izuku yanked Katsuki's pants off and spread his legs wide. Pleased that the large plug hadn't been removed, Katsuki whimpered, silently begging for his 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏 to give him relief. Since Katsuki had been a good boy for him, Izuku thought he deserved a treat. Deku slowly removed the plug and tossed it aside. Bakugo with relief. Katsuki's gaping hole twitched and Deku couldn't resist sticking his tongue inside while massaging Katsuki's butt. The blonde used the pillow in front of him to muffle his moans as he thanked his 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏 for this rare treat. 25 Deku replaced his tongue with his large member. He slowly, almost tortuously slow, entered the blonde. Katsuki forgot himself for a second and moved back, taking Deku in farther. That earned him 4 hard smacks on both of his butt cheeks, leaving them red. Bakugo begged for forgiveness. His tears pleasing Deku, and the emerald-eyed hero forgave him just this once. 31 Deku never imagined he would ever have this type of relationship with Kaken. It had all started when Bakugo had come to Deku's room to borrow his notes and he had mouthed off about how sloppy his handwriting was. Before Bakugo knew what was happening, he was on all fours with Izuku thrusting into him, calling him a sloppy ware. It had been so degrading, but Katsuki had quickly become addicted. 𝗕𝗵𝗃𝗁 whined, wanting to touch himself, while Deku pounded inside him, hitting his 𝗕𝗫𝗁𝗃 over and over, but knew he wasn't allowed. Katsuki was close to having an orgasm, but would be smacked if he came before his 𝗵𝗃𝗀. Izuku's breath was coming out faster, his release seconds away. Bakugo spread his legs wider, excited to take in Izuku's load. Deku groaned loudly, grasping Katsuki's hips painfully. The sweet sting sending Katsuki over the edge. Deku pulled out and signaled Katsuki to clean him up. The blonde rushed over with a warm towel, not caring about the cum dripping down his own legs. Deku threw his pants at him, letting Katsuki know to get out. Bakugo pulled on his pants, thanked his 𝗵𝗃𝗀 and closed the door quietly behind him. The blonde smiling, already excited for tomorrow night. BakuDeku 21, the young emerald-eyed Omega, walked into his college class and stomped up to the front of the classroom. He knew his professor showed up early to set up for the day's lecture, and he needed to find him alone. Katsuki's classroom was the perfect place to get what the Omega had come for. At this hour it was the only classroom being used, and he wouldn't be bothered by other alphas. This was critical since the green-haired Omega was in heat. Deku had been planning this for the past year. Ever since he first stepped foot into Katsuki Bakugo's classroom. It wasn't just the professor's good looks that had attracted the Omega, but his intellect as well. There could only be one man who could satisfy what his body was craving. The sound of foot stomping startled the blonde professor, and he looked up from his desk, surprise on his face as his favorite student came panting up, standing in front of him with a flushed face. Katsuki's eyes widened at the smell of an Omega in heat wafting off his pupil. His alpha responding to the alluring aroma. The look Deku was giving him left no doubt as to what this Omega had come for. Katsuki didn't know what to do. His brain was turning into mush as the Omega pushed his chest up against his own. Those gorgeous emerald eyes heavy with lust. Katsuki put his hands on Deku's hips to stop the Omega from grinding on him, but instead of pushing him away, he dragged him forward. Deku purred, rubbing his scent all over the alpha's chest. The sound was Katsuki's undoing. He could no longer hold back. The alpha in him screaming to mark and not this Omega, making him his forever. With a feral growl, he mashed their lips together, walking Deku back towards his desk. He gently placed the Omega down on the cold surface and removed Deku's pants that were already dripping with slick. The sight making the alpha open his mouth, letting his canines descend. He quickly undressed Deku and himself. The feel of skin on skin making them both groan with pleasure. Deku moved his hips up, not wanting to wait for the alpha to prepare him. He had already done that before he arrived. Deku guided Katsuki's member inside of him and hissed with pleasure when the alpha moved in deeply. The Omega was lost to lust and joy from being filled by his alpha. Katsuki moved in with wild abandon, spurred on by the whimpers and moans of the Omega that was drenched in slick. Deku grabbed Katsuki's head and dragged it towards his scent glands, offering up his fidelity to the alpha. The Omega breathlessly calling Katsuki, "my alpha," and begging for his knot. How could Katsuki refuse such a sexy and appealing Omega? Thrusting faster, he brought Deku to his peak, and as the Omega with release, Katsuki bit down HRD on Deku's scent gland and pushed himself deep, locking his knot inside the tiny Omega. Katsuki licked the wound his bite had left, kissing the teary-eyed Omega who was crying tears of happiness. Deku had gotten what he came for. His alpha. Deku put his bag in the overhead bin and took his seat next to the window. He is a nervous flyer, so he closed the window shade. It made his stomach clench when he watched the plane leave the ground. His leg thumped up and down without him even realizing he was doing it. He grabbed a book out of his backpack and distracted himself with his favorite read. The book looked well worn. The cover already starting to peel. Deku smiled as he opened the book, feeling like he was greeting an old friend. Deku heard someone take the seat next to him, but he wasn't in the mood to chat, so he ignored whoever it was. I thought only kids read that they... A gruff voice broke his concentration. He looked over at the man, and the snarky comment he was going to make died on his lips. The man was incredibly handsome. The smirk on the blonde's face growing as he noticed he was being checked out. "Hello, gorgeous. My name is Katsuki Bakugo," the blonde god said as he held out his hand to shake Deku's. 𝗕𝗵𝗃𝗁 Midoriya. Nice to meet you, Deku stuttered, feeling like an idiot. So tell me, Izuku, why is a grown but man ready Harry Potter? 72 Deku blushed, but like most Potterheads he is a rabid fan. I admire Harry. He's not afraid to look death in the face in order to save the people he loves. I wish I could be more like him. 12, if you say so, Freckles, he teased. Maybe I'll pick up a copy at the bookstore near my apartment. See what all the hype is about. When I'm feeling bad or nervous it helps lift up my spirits. You feeling nervous? Let me guess. You're afraid of flying. Izuku nodded and jumped when Katsuki put his hand over his own. Maybe you need some other kind of distraction to take your mind away from your fears. Katsuki looked at Deku's lips and bit his own. 20 Deku didn't even know what to say. He just stared at the blonde, his brain completely shutting down as the BLD rushed to pool around his waist. One Katsuki pushed the button calling for the flight attendant and winked at Deku. She came over with a wide grin as her eyes raked over the handsome man. How can I help you, sir? Can I trouble you for a couple blankets for me and my friend? His smile could melt any woman's panties right off. 21, of course. Right away. She came back and handed Katsuki 2 blankets. Can I get you anything else? This is fine, thank you. Katsuki handed a blanket over to Izuku and dropped the other over his own lap. Why do you have the window down? It's fun to watch the cars and buildings get smaller and smaller. That's the part that I hate the most. I'm fine after takeoff. 3. Flight attendants, please take your seats and prepare for liftoff, the pilot announced. Katsuki unfolded the blanket and put it on Izuku's lap. Let's look out the window together. Katsuki leaned over Deku and opened the window. The greenette could barely breathe when he felt Katsuki's hand travel up his thigh. His fingers massaging their way up to his pages 11. Izuku's breath started coming out faster. He couldn't believe a total stranger, albeit a hot one, was feeling him up where anybody could pass by and see. He felt a tiny bit better because he had a blanket covering his lower half, and the blonde's body leaning towards him blocked their neighbors from seeing anything. 10. Izuku looked into Katsuki's crimson eyes and gasped when he felt the blonde's hand rub up against his pages. Katsuki, what are you doing? Distracting you, Freckles. He rubbed him harder as the plane started to move. Katsuki unsnapped Deku's pants and put his left hand inside of the trembling man's underwear, grabbing the 𝗧𝗏, stroking it firmly. Oh my god! Izuku whispered as he lifted up his hips into Katsuki's hand. Just relax, kitten. I'm gonna make you forget everything else. 29. The plane's engine started roaring, about ready to speed down the runway. All Deku could pay attention to was how his body was responding to the blonde stranger jerking him off. The plane lifted off the ground and the people in front oohed and awed looking out their windows. 6. Deku on the other hand was covering his mouth to suppress the loud that threatened to expose what they were doing. It only took one more strong 𝗕𝗪𝗀 to make Deku come into Katsuki's hand. The crimson-eyed seducer took out his hand from Deku's pants and cleaned himself off with a tissue he had in his pocket. Katsuki, wow, was all Deku could say. Izuku forgot about his fears as he chatted up the blonde for the remainder of the flight. Turns out they had a lot in common. I'd like to see you again, Izuku, Katsuki said as he handed Deku his bag. Reaching into his backpack, he took out a gold band and put it on his finger. You can see me all you want at home, Kaken. Your roleplay was much better than mine, he said as he kissed his husband's lips. 81. Izuku sighed as he grabbed the door handle to go inside of yet another new school. This is the 3rd time he's had to transfer. Izuku is a male omega. Their kind are very rare and even more so in Izuku's case. His family has the reputation of only producing DMNT alphas and omegas who produce DMNT alphas. Families from all over the world have sent marriage proposals daily hoping their sons could marry the young omega. 2. The alphas at his last 2 schools pursued him relentlessly. Every day another guy would bring him flowers or chocolates. He refused every single one of them. Izuku knew he was very attractive but hated it. His beauty felt more like a curse than a blessing. 6. I wish I could meet my alpha already and be claimed. Then these guys would leave me the hell alone, he thought darkly. 𝗵𝗃𝗲 knows when they have met their mate when their bodies heat up when near them. It's an instant and overwhelming attraction. Taking a deep breath, he opened the door and stepped inside the building that would become his heaven or his hell. Straightening his shoulders and lifting up his head, he made his way over to his locker. The noisy hallway suddenly became quiet. Izuku closed his eyes, swearing in his head. It's starting already. Shaking it off, he put away his backpack and grabbed his science book and laptop. He closed his locker and was about to turn around when he heard a voice speak behind him. "Hey pretty boy, can I get your number?" "Oh, for F's sake," he thought. Izuku turned around to be met not by 1 but 5. He looked over every single one of them, but found none interesting. "If you'll excuse me, I need to get to class," he said icily, hoping they would get the hint. "Don't be like that, sweetheart. I promise to treat you like a queen if you give me the chance." "Sorry, not interested." This kept happening all the way to his class. "Yep. This place is definitely not my heaven," he grumbled to himself. He finally made it to his science classroom and was greeted by a friendly-looking 𝗵𝗃𝗲. "Hi. I'm your teacher, Mrs. 𝗬𝗏𝗵𝗲. I'm so happy another 𝗵𝗃𝗲 is joining our school. There aren't very many of us." Izuku gave her a warm smile. He was glad he had found an ally. "Nice to meet you, ma'am. 3. We have partners for today's lab assignment. You can sit next to Katsuki Bakugo. He's the alpha to your left, sitting next to the window. He's hard to miss. Most DMNT alphas are." Izuku's eyes darted over to the alpha his teacher had pointed to, surprised that a smile had appeared on his face. His palms started to sweat and his heart beat faster. Could this be my alpha? He thought excitedly. 13 Katsuki was looking at his phone and hadn't heard the conversation between Izuku and his teacher. He kept scrolling through Instagram, laughing at a few pictures of his friends acting like idiots. Izuku sat down next to him, his body feeling flustered. He wanted to talk to the hot blonde. He wanted to touch him, kiss him, connect to him. All these new feelings came on so fast that he gasped from the strength of it. 13 That gasp caught the attention of the alpha. His gaze flicked over to Izuku, but Katsuki did a double take when he realized he was sitting next to the most beautifully sexy 𝗵𝗃𝗲 he had ever seen. A growl escaped his lips as the alpha in him recognized his mate. They didn't even know when it happened, but before their brains could catch up, they were in each other's arms, kissing each other senseless. Izuku's body went up in flames. He was releasing sweet pheromones all over the classroom. The other alphas could smell it and moved in on Katsuki, wanting to steal the unclaimed 𝗵𝗃𝗲. Katsuki noticed the others coming around. He put Izuku behind him and snarled loudly. 5. This is my 𝗵𝗃𝗲. You're dead if you try and touch him. His voice so demented the other alphas bowed their heads in 𝗬𝗵𝗃𝗁. Grabbing Izuku's hand, he led them out of the building and into the back seat of his car. "Dayton, I'm jealous AF. I don't want any of those extras trying to take what's mine." 6. Izuku understood what Katsuki wanted to do and was more than okay with it. His body had already told him that Katsuki is his mate. Katsuki pulled Izuku on his lap and kissed him softly. He nuzzled the 𝗵𝗃𝗲's neck and licked his scent gland. "You're mine forever," he growled before piercing the gland with his fangs, causing the greenette to whimper in pain. The alpha's venom spread throughout Izuku's body, claiming him as his mate. After a minute, Katsuki withdrew his fangs and looked at his mate with concern in his eyes. "Are you okay? I heard that the bite is pretty painful." "Yes. I'm more than okay. I have most definitely found my heaven." The windows fogged up as the new mates danced the dance that is as old as time. 60 Bado fluff, starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight. I wish I may, I wish I might, have this wish I wish tonight. 27 Izuku recited this poem looking up at the sky. It was a cloudy night, but every once in a while the sky would peek through. Just to the right of the bright full moon, Izuku spotted the first star. He closed his eyes and crossed his fingers. "I wish Kaken would fall in love with me." The star looked like it twinkled, as if saying it had heard his wish. Izuku smiled up at the star, hoping that at long last his wish would come true. He walked back inside his house with a grin in his heart and a spring in his step. Tomorrow is the day. I can feel it. Only it wasn't. He and Katsuki have the same first PRD together and the blonde always showed up on time. This morning his seat was empty. Was this fate telling him his love would always be unrequited? Izuku raised his hand and asked his teacher. Mr. 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗏, do you know why Bakugo, isn't here today? His teacher smiled over at him. It was obvious that Midoriya is in love with Bakugo. He couldn't believe that the hothead hadn't picked up on it. His mom called and said he's sick. I guess he has a high fever. Oh no, Midoriya thought. I need to go see him. I need to make sure he's okay. Izuku stayed in his seat nervously tapping his pencil on his book. He kept glancing at the clock, willing the minute hand to move faster. He wanted to get to Kaken's as soon as possible. He would usually never skip school, but some things are more important. Finally the bell rang and he jumped out of his seat, his books already in his arms. The teacher chuckled, "Say hi to Bakugo for me." Izuku blushed, wondering how his teacher knew where he was off to. On his way home he stopped by Kaken's favorite ramen spot and bought his some chicken broth. He knew Kaken wouldn't be able to eat meat and vegetables when he has such a high fever, but the broth would do him some good. Izuku noticed that there were no vehicles in the driveway. He clicked his tongue, realizing that Kaken's parents had left him alone. He didn't want to knock and chance waking up the blonde, so he let himself in with the spare key they leave in the planter near the door. The living room was quiet, so Izuku guessed that Katsuki was asleep in his room. He took the soup with him and made his way to Katsuki's bedroom. He quietly let himself in and sure enough there was a sleeping Kaken. Izuku walked over and sat down next to his love and felt his forehead. Katsuki was burning up. Izuku went to the bathroom and wet a towel with cold water and placed it on the blonde's forehead. Katsuki woke up when he felt the cool towel. His eyes blinked a couple times trying to focus on who was there. Hi Kaken. It's me. I stopped by to check on you. I brought you some soup if you feel a little hungry. It's just broth though. Deku. He whispered. You should leave. I don't want you getting sick too. That's sweet Kaken, but I couldn't just do nothing. Why? Why what? Midoriya asked. Katsuki held his head. The fever was making it throb painfully. Why do you care so much about me? Midoriya stayed silent. He wasn't sure how to answer that. Should he confess? He had taken such a long time to answer that he failed to notice that Kaken had fallen asleep again. Izuku leaned over the sleeping boy and whispered in his ear. I don't just care about you. I'm hopelessly in love with you. I wish you could be mine. Izuku sat at Katsuki's desk and quietly reviewed the material from first PRD. He glanced over at Kaken from time to time. After a couple of hours the blonde woke up. Izuku helped him sit up and fed him the broth that he had kept warm. Afterwards Katsuki fell back asleep. Izuku heard the front door open and went downstairs. Mitsuki Bakugo appeared with medicine and soup for her son. She smiled warmly at Midoriya and thanked him for looking after Katsuki. He smiled shyly and went to go grab his books. He was about to leave Katsuki's bedroom when he stopped. He looked down at the sleeping crimson-eyed boy that he cared so much for. I love you Kaken. Get well soon. A couple days later, Katsuki felt well enough to come back to class. Izuku greeted him with a wide smile. Katsuki took his seat next to the greenette and grabbed his hand tightly. He looked him in the eyes and confessed, I love you too, nerd. The blonde became blurry as tears filled up his emerald eyes. After a minute he was finally able to speak. I got my wish. Bakudeku Izuku loved going to basketball games on Friday nights at his high school. Their team was doing very well this season thanks to their new power forward Katsuki Bakugo. The girls on the sideline cheered for the handsome crimson-eyed player. They giggled and waved at him, but never got a response. The girls at the school thought that maybe he was just stuck up and he thought they weren't good enough for him. Only Izuku knew the truth. He had met Katsuki a few weeks ago when his family moved into the house next door. Katsuki seemed to enjoy his company and they had become close friends, but only when they were at home. At school they were to pretend like they didn't know each other. At first that hurt Izuku's feelings. He knew he wasn't in the popular crowd, but he did have a nice group of friends. Katsuki would make excuses like he just wanted to keep some things a secret. Midoriya let it go and decided to enjoy the friendship for what it was. One night their relationship took a drastic turn. Katsuki had invited Izuku over to spend the night. His parents weren't home and he wanted the Greenette's company. Izuku was excited to spend so much time with the boy he had started to fall in love with. He would never confess those feelings to Katsuki. He was sure their friendship would end right away. They spent the evening watching movies, eating junk food, and playing video games. The clock struck midnight and the two decided to get to bed. Katsuki led Izuku to his bedroom, where the freckled cutie thought he would find a futon set up for him. Instead he watched Katsuki pull back the covers of his queen-size bed. Katsuki. Where should I sleep? Should I sleep on the couch downstairs? No, nerd. You're sleeping next to me. Izuku blushed crimson. His eyes darted to the bed and back to Katsuki a few times. You want me to share your bed? Sure. What's the big deal? Katsuki undressed in front of Izuku until he was just in his underwear. Izuku's eyes were glued on Katsuki's perfect body. His mouth went dry and he found he was having a hard time swallowing. Katsuki smirked as he got under the covers. Asugi nerd. I'm tired, so get your butt in bed already. Izuku turned off the lights and got undressed quickly. He was glad that the darkness hid the tent that had formed in his underwear. He crawled in next to Katsuki and faced away from him. He knew it was going to be a long night. How could he possibly sleep next to his crush? For Katsuki pressed up against his back and whispered in his ear. Hey nerd. I know you want me and I want you too. So why don't you let me F you a little? Izuku couldn't believe what he was hearing and turned around to look at Katsuki. The blonde bent down and kissed Izuku roughly, his hands exploring every inch of the Greenette's body. Katsuki ended up making a mess out of Izuku 2 times that night. 23 At the breakfast table, Katsuki said something that broke Izuku's heart. This is our little secret. I don't want anybody finding out about this. Got it? For Izuku felt humiliated. He had given Katsuki his virginity and was sure things would be different between them, but apparently he was wrong. I won't be used by you. He screamed. I'm not anyone's dirty little secret. I have some self-respect, Katsuki. He got his bag and started for the door. Don't worry about me saying anything. I wish it never happened and I wish I had never met you but... Izuku slammed the door behind him, tears streaming down his face. He had never felt more stupid in his life. Izuku stopped going to basketball games with his friends. He made the excuse of needing to do homework. When he passed by Katsuki in the halls, he would ignore him by looking at his phone or talking with his friends. Katsuki had tried to call him and text, but Izuku had blocked his number, because F him. 18 Katsuki felt like he never meant to hurt Izuku. He wasn't ready to come out of the closet yet. He was afraid it could hurt his chances of being recruited by a college team. There aren't many openly gay players. The blonde missed Izuku terribly. He wanted to make things right, but Freckles kept ignoring him. One later that day, his teammate Kirishima came up to him at his locker. Hey Bakugo. I'm gonna ask this cutie out today. I'm nervous but excited. Oh yeah. Who's the cutie? Izuku Midoriya. He's so cute and smart and those eyes of his. So appealing. 14 Katsuki glared at the redhead and dropped his backpack with a loud thud. You stay the F away from him. He's mine. 14 What? Since when? It doesn't matter when. He's mine, so back off. He snarled. Katsuki. Midoriya stood there shocked. His eyes teared up and he turned to run away. Katsuki caught up and grabbed Izuku in his arms. I'm sorry, nerd. Please forgive me. Katsuki held him tightly, almost desperately. I wasn't ready before, but I am now. I've missed you so much. Izuku, please. I need you. 15 The hallway became more crowded as the people gathered around to watch the spectacle before them. People were whispering their shock that not only is Katsuki Bakugo gay, but in love with Midoriya. 8. You have some serious but kissing to do, Katsuki. 13. Whatever it takes, nerd. Just say you'll be mine. Midoriya blushed as he kissed the man he loves. I guess this is no longer our little secret. Dekubowl Katsuki felt like he was in the 7 circles of hell. Why did Round Face have to bring him that? Oh god. The way he's licking it. swirling his tongue around its round shape. Katsuki couldn't tear his eyes away. I have never been more jealous of a lollipop in my entire life. 34 Katsuki couldn't help but move his mouth in sync with the object of his longing. Whenever Deku opened his mouth to push the lollipop back through his lips, Katsuki unconsciously opened his. I wish that was my pee-pee going into that sweet mouth. That tongue should be rolling around my pages. I can just imagine those soft lips dragging across my length, his tongue flicking out to wet my pages. 12 Stop it, Katsuki. You're in class. Think unsexy thoughts. Think unsexy thoughts. CC thoughts. Deku naked. Deku riding me. Stop it. Oh God. I have 𝗵𝗃𝗫. 36 Katsuki raised his hand and asked to go to the restroom. Aizawa nodded and the blonde rushed out the room to find the nearest single-person restroom. Thankfully there was one not too far from his class. As soon as he got inside and locked the door, he lowered his pants, taking out his aching member. The school provides both lotions and hand soap in all their bathrooms. Some students' quirks cause them to get very dry hands, so the student president petitioned for lotions to be provided. Katsuki was never more thankful for that than right now. He pumped the bottle 2 times and put the cool lotion on his 𝗧𝗪𝗏. He sat on the toilet and jerked off to one of his favorite fantasies. Kaken, what are you doing in my room at 2 a.m.? Are you not feeling well? Should I call someone? 7 I'm feeling right as rain, nerd. I'm here to wreck that perfect butt of yours. I want to make you scream my name so much that your voice gets hoarse. What? You want to do what? Shut up, nerd. You have 10 seconds to get naked by yourself, otherwise I'm going to tear your clothes off of you myself. I'm not kidding, Deku. I'm here to F the SHT out of you. Kaken. I want that too. Wreck me. Mess me up so badly I can't walk. 2 He takes off his clothes and gets on his hands and knees and shows me his butt. His body is shaking with need. I lick 2 of my fingers and get them real wet. I stick them in, gently stretching out that untouched ring of muscles. Oh God. He's perfect for me now. My pee-pee slips inside all the way. His back arches and the sexiest escapes those plump lips. Katsuki couldn't finish his fantasy because he had just come in his hand. His breath coming out in huffs. 8 Well, at least that's over. I can pay attention in class again. Stupid Deku turning me on all the time with that stupid body and that stupid face. 1 Katsuki washed his hands with a little more vigor than necessary. I'm pathetic. I just jerked off in the school bathroom like a dog in heat. I need to end this. 2 Katsuki looked at his flushed face in the mirror. His eyes darted over his body and face. I'm hot. There's no way Deku would refuse me. He's always following me around like a puppy. He would look CC in a collar. Me holding the leash, forcing him to deep throat my pee-pee while tears roll down his face. Holding those green curls in my fist while I shove my pee-pee inside his mouth all the way, making his swallow my load and thank me for it. Oh no, SHT. I'm hard again. That's it. I'm at my limit. 13 Going back to class, Katsuki noticed Aizawa napping in his sleeping bag and the rest of the class was chatting. Katsuki went over to Izuku and kicked his chair. Hey nerd. Come to my room tonight. I need help with some SHT. Izuku opened his eyes wide and broke out with a grin. Sure, Kaken. What time should I be there? Stupid Deku. Looking so excited. He has no idea what I'm planning on doing to him tonight. 8 p.m. Don't be late. 14 Okay, Kaken. I'll bring snacks and a couple sodas. We'll need those to recuperate after I wreck that version hole. Fine, Deku. Bring what I like, not those pee-pee but snacks you usually eat. 19 Izuku just laughed. His eyes closing, half exasperated, half amused. I know what you like, Kaken. You're gonna find out what I really like, nerd. Tomorrow is going to be a brand new day for you in so many ways. Starting tonight, I'm gonna make you my wear. Shower before you come over. I don't want you stinking up my room. I don't stink, Kaken, but fine. The glare he gave Katsuki actually turned him on. He likes it when Deku gets feisty. The more fun to break you and mold you into my love SLV. 6 Katsuki went to the drugstore after school and bought a bottle of lube and a couple bottles of water. He skipped buying the condoms because he wants to see his cum leaking out of Deku's butt. He made one more stop. picking up something super special that he hoped to give Deku in the near future. His heart constricted looking at the special package. When he returned to the dorms, Katsuki counted down the hours and minutes. 10 before Deku arrived, he went through his playlist of fantasies. Which one? Which one? This would be his and Deku's first time and he didn't want to scare him off, but his brain and his PP were at odds. Fine. That one it is. I just hope he's okay with it. It's almost 8. Calm down, Katsuki. I can't believe I'm going to do this. What if he rejects me? Oh god. That would be super awkward. The F are you thinking? Of course, he'll F want you. 19. It was 7:50 when a knock came at his door. He's early. That means he was too excited to come over, he just couldn't wait. Katsuki put on his usual smirk to open the door. 2, you're early, Deku, he scowled. Sorry, Kaken. I was too excited. You never invite me over, he said sheepishly. Whatever. Get in here. Deku came in and put his backpack down and opened it up. He removed his binder and sat on the bed. So, Kaken, which subject do you need help with? 6. Katsuki didn't answer, but locked the door and dimmed the lights. Deku looked thoroughly confused. Kaken, we need the lights on to study. For this is it. I'm gonna go for it before I lose my nerve. Katsuki sat down next to Deku and took the notebook out of his hands and dropped it on the floor and leaned in closer. Izuku was looking at the floor, annoyed that Kaken had dropped his binder. He was completely unaware of Katsuki moving on in. Kaken, don't dump my stuff on the floor. He went to reach for it when Katsuki grabbed his hands. I didn't invite you over for that. I invited you over for this. Katsuki held Deku's face and kissed him hard. He pushed him back on the bed, opening his mouth. His tongue seeking entrance into the greenette's mouth. Deku pushed him off hard. Kaken, what are you doing? Don't you dare play with me like that. Nobody is playing here, Deku. I want you and I plan on having you. I'll give you 3 seconds to leave now or I'll know you want me to F you hard. For Izuku grabbed his notebook and backpack and ran for the door, but stopped when his hand reached for the knob. He turned around and asked, do you really want to do that with me? For F yeah I do. Since when? F that. I don't have an exact date. It's been a while now. Like months or something. Izuku let his backpack and notebook drop. He walked over to Katsuki and pushed him down on the bed. He looked at Katsuki with hunger in his eyes. You have some catching up to do, Kaken, because I've been wanting you for years. I bet you think you're the one that's in charge, don't you? Sorry, Kaken, but I'm gonna wreck you tonight. 33. Wreck me. Never once in my fantasies was I the bottom, but this is F hot. I wonder what he's been thinking about doing to me. 3. Take off your clothes, Kaken. I want to see all of you. You too, Deku. I want to see what you're gonna wreck me with, he smirked. Katsuki's smirk died when Izuku grinned confidently. Not a problem, Kaken. We're gonna need a safe word. For a safe word. You pick. Cherries. If you can't speak, tap my body hard. If you can't talk or tap, blink your eyes fast. Cherries, tap or blink. Got it. Katsuki got undressed quickly. He's not shy in the least bit. Deku undressed more slowly. He was teasing Katsuki, making him wait a bit. Get on with I nerd, before I blast your clothes off. Green light danced all over Deku's body as he released black WHP and wrapped it around Katsuki's body and mouth. 13. What did I say about who is in charge, Kaken? Deku turned around and slowly removed his clothes. Katsuki got a good view of Deku's firm round butt, strong back and legs. Deku looked over his shoulder, winked and bit his lip. Katsuki groaned with frustration. Deku laughed at that and finally turned around. Katsuki's eyes bugged out looking at Deku's massive pages. Oh god. He's going to F me with that. No amount of prepping is gonna make that fit. 10. Deku released his WHP from around Katsuki's mouth. You're gonna be a good PPSLV for me. He used his WHP to put Katsuki on his knees. Deku grabbed his thick PP and brought it closer to Kaken's mouth. Deku wiped off the pre-cum and smeared it on Kaken's lips like chapstick. Lick it off, he demanded. Katsuki did what he was told. Good boy. Open wide for me. No teeth, princess. Katsuki leaned forward and took the large head into his mouth. His tongue flicked around it, making Deku. He likes it. I'm gonna try and take in more. He succeeded in taking half of it. Judging by the sounds Deku was making, that was good enough. 𝗵𝗃𝗁. Your mouth feels so good. We need to stop before I come too soon, he gasped. He released Black WHP but warned, I'll do that again unless you behave. Katsuki nodded. Good. Get on the bed with your butt in the air. Hold your ankles. He better prep me good. If he doesn't, I'm gonna blast him into the next room. He got on the bed and positioned himself the way Deku had asked. Midoriya got behind him and rubbed his butt gently. 1. Kaken, you're so secretary. I wish you could see what I'm seeing. I want to taste you. His tongue is in my butt. It feels so dirty, but so good. I can't believe Deku is F me with his tongue. 15. I'm going to prep you now, Kaken. He got off the bed and sat beside it. How are you going to prep me from there, nerd? Green light danced again and 1 WHP came out. Deku glided it down Katsuki's spine. Wait, you're not going to. He had his answer when Deku plunged Black WHP into his butt. Katsuki fell flat on the bed with his legs wide open. Deku pushed his WHP in and out at a slow pace. His WHP widening ever so slightly, ever few strokes. He paid attention to the blonde's responses to make sure he was hitting his priority. 15. He's using his WHP inside of me. That's so KNKY. It feels so good. Too good. Deku. I'm gonna come. Please. I want your PP inside of me. He panted, desperation in his eyes. Deku released the WHP and put lube on his pages. He positioned himself behind Katsuki. Kaken, I might not last long, it's my first time. 7th if. Mine too. Just do it already. Deku took a deep breath and pushed into Katsuki's tight heat. Oh god, Kaken. This feels amazing. So tight. My butt. It feels like it's being ripped in half. Why couldn't he have a small pages? He huffed, feeling Deku push his massive member all the way in. Wait a minute. Cherries. Let me adjust before you move. 12. Deku reached around and stoked Katsuki's 𝗧𝗪𝗏. The blonde relaxed a bit, enjoying the feeling. After a couple minutes he said, Okay Deku. Start moving. He pulled out slowly and pushed back inside. Katsuki got impatient and tried to take over. What did I say before? His WHP returned, tying up the blonde. You need to be taught a lesson. Sorry Kaken, but now I'm gonna wreck you. Deku picked up the pace, thrusting in mercilessly. Katsuki could barely breath form, the pleasure rippling up his spine. Oh god. How can something feel so painful and good? Kaken. Kaken. He moved in a few more times before leaking hard inside of Katsuki. He collapsed on the bed, breathing heavily. Looking over at the blonde, he purred, Your turn, Kaken. You can have your fantasy now. 6. Katsuki got in between Deku's legs and kissed his neck. Then his cheeks and eyes. I'll show you my fantasy, Izuku. Deku's eyes widened at Kaken using his real name. But what came next shook him to his very core. 2. Katsuki kissed him gently. I love you, Izuku. I love you so much. I want to be with you now and forever. Tell me you love me too, Izuku. Tell me you'll be mine. Deku couldn't help the tears that rolled down his face. Is this your fantasy only, Kaken, or is this really how you feel? It's really how I feel. I want to connect to you. I want to cherish you, and someday I want to marry you. One that made Deku sob harder. Katsuki bent down and kissed Deku again. They held each other tightly, relishing in their new feeling for each other. Katsuki took his time to prep Deku before claiming the greenette as his own forever. This will be our last first time, Izuku. I won't ever let you go now. Kaken. Call me Deku. Some things should never change. Katsuki proceeded to make slow, passionate love to the boy that had stolen his heart. Sweat dripping down their bodies, they laid in each other's arms. I'm serious about us being together, Deku. I can't see myself with anybody else. Me either, Kaken. It's always only been you for me too, he sniffled. Let's shower and get dressed. I want to take you on a real first date. 3 months later, to the surprise of everybody, Deku and Kaken announced that they were a couple. They spent night and day together getting to know each other as boyfriends. Katsuki loved spoiling Deku with all 𝗵𝗃 and taking him out to eat. Deku, do you want to go to Kenji's for ramen tonight? For, really Kaken. I love that place. Let me get my coat and meet you downstairs. Before they left to go to Deku's favorite restaurant, Katsuki grabbed the special package that he had placed in his drawer 3 months ago. They sat down, ordered and talked about classes and dreams about what their futures could look like. Katsuki moved over to sit next to Deku and took out the special package. We have known each other our entire lives. We're sitting here dreaming of our future together. I want you and the world to know how serious I am. Katsuki opened up the package showing 2 gold rings. He placed one on Izuku's finger and kissed it and then his lover's lips. With trembling hands, Deku placed the other ring on Katsuki's finger. He cried when he looked down at his and Katsuki's hands. He was so incredible moved and surprised. 2. I love you, Deku. You're so precious to me. You're strong, smart and brave. The world might see you as All Might's successor, but to me, you will always be Deku. My nerd. 13. Katsuki, Shoto and Kiri were gathered in their manager's office along with one of their backup singers. 19. I'm so sorry I have to bail right before the start of your tour, but my mom is in the hospital. She's going to need physical therapy after she gets out. My dad needs to work, so I'm the only that can be with her. There's no reason to apologize, Aki. If she happens, just go take care of your mom. There will be plenty of tours in the future. Thanks, Bakugo. That makes me feel much better. Aki smiled, relaxing his shoulders. He was sure the volatile blonde was going to go ballistic on him. Their manager, Aizawa, escorted Aki to the door and wished him good luck. Well guys, we need to find a replacement fast. Your tour starts in 2 days. You must have kept resumes from previous applicants, Aizawa. Can't we look through those? Shoto asked, pointing towards his manager's file cabinet. Unfortunately not. My idiot secretary ruined them when he spilled coffee all over my desk. Aizawa shook his head. That fool thought he saw a spider and came up with a brilliant plan to drown it with coffee. Kiri couldn't help but laugh. Oh, that Denki. If he's such a dunce, why do you keep him around? Because he's my stepson. I wouldn't hear the end of it from my wife if I fired him. 5. Nepotism at its finest, Kiri chucked. 9. Getting back to our current problem. We need to scout out new talent, but we really don't have the time. Oh. Kiri snapped his fingers and pointed excitedly. There's this guy who sings all of Bakugo's songs at this popular karaoke bar downtown. I've actually watched him perform. Dude, he said, looking at Bakugo. He has all of your moves down. He can even smirk like you. 1. Is he any good? 𝗧𝗵𝗲 for brains. Katsuki asked in a bored voice. Yeah, his voice is sweet and secretary. He seems kinda shy once he's off stage. Kiri's smile widened as he winked at Shoto. He's cute AF too. He's got this green wavy hair and sparkling emerald green eyes. He has cute freckles on his cheeks too. His body is toned, but not super muscular, but that butt. Round perfection. 25. Shoto perked up at that. He's an but man. I want to meet him, he said breathlessly. 13. I hope I don't get a call from Human Resources boys. We don't need a harassment lawsuit. Aizawa looked at them sternly. I know that. Look, Kiri. For F's sake, can you please keep your PP in your pants? The tour is more important than getting F right now. 13. I want him though, Kiri whined. We'll treat him right, won't we, boys? His red eyes looked pleadingly at Shoto and Bakugo. Won't he, Kiri? I've never seen you so worked up over anybody before. He that's special. Kat. There's just something about him. Makes me want to get to know him better. Katsuki sat back and stared down Kiri hard, making the redhead blush. I wanna F him till his back gives out. 3. There it is. Shoto chuckled, the truth at last. Oh, for F's sake, Kiri. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that. Go check him out tonight. If he's as good as you say he is, then hire him. Bakugo, I trust your judgment on this one. Now get the F out. I've got important meetings to attend. Aizawa practically pushed them out the door. You guys are gonna love him. I can't wait. Tonight is going to be super special. If you say so, SHT for brains. Across town, Midoriya was swaying his hips as he sang into his bottle of shampoo. His other hand was soaping up his body, the hot water turning his fair skin pink. His roommate, 𝗧𝗵𝗲, came in and flushed the toilet, making Izuku shriek at the sudden change in water temperature. Get out of the shower already, Izuku. Our water bill was crazy last month because you're taking too long in there singing those stupid Bakugo songs. For Izuku pulled back the shower curtain and glared daggers at 𝗧𝗵𝗲. Don't you dare call my idol songs stupid. They're brilliant and he's amazing. 6, whatever. 𝗧𝗵𝗲 raised his eyebrows as his finger went to flush the toilet again. Stop. Izuku whined. Okay, I'll get out. Izuku dried off and picked out his clothes carefully. He wanted to look good on stage tonight. He had this crazy feeling something big was gonna happen. 7, come on guys. Kiri was squirming impatiently. We're gonna miss him unless you move your asses now. Calm your tips, Kiri. We have to make sure we're unrecognizable. I don't want to get mobbed like we did at the last club we went to. F-airs couldn't keep their hands to themselves, Katsuki grumbled. Sho, please hurry. Calm down, Kiri. If we miss him, we can always request another song. You two are the worst. 𝗕𝗲𝗁𝗎𝗄, we're ready. Katsuki had never seen Kiri this excited before. This shy boy must be really something special, he thought. Midoriya was indeed shy until he took to the stage. Something shifted in him and he radiated confidence and swagger. He wanted to be just like Bakugo. The blonde is a powerhouse of raw sexuality with a gruff voice that sends shivers up his spine. Bakugo is a frequent visitor in Izuku's fantasies. He's jerked off more times than he would care to admit to the blonde's music videos. Not only did the blonde set his BLD on fire, but his band members too. Shoto and Kiri were eye candy galore. 15 The three men sat off to the side in a booth. They were wearing hats and sunglasses to hide their identities. 2. It's the moment you've all been waiting for. The crowd started whistling and pounding on the tables. Let's give a warm welcome to our favorite Bakugo cover singer, Izuku Midoriya. Katsuki was shocked as the crowd cheered and clapped their hands. Shoto grabbed Kiri and Katsuki's hands as he stared up at the stage. He's perfect, he purred. He hasn't even started singing yet, icy hot. I don't care if he can sing. I want him under me tonight. 31 Katsuki took a good look at Midoriya and he too liked what he saw. Nothing could have prepared him for the performance that Izuku gave. Midoriya grabbed a mic and a bar stool, setting it up in the middle of the stage. Thanks for being here tonight, the crowd whistled. For my first song I decided to sing Yearning a cappella style. It's my own interpretation of Bakugo's song. Closing his eyes, he started to sing soulfully. The song was usually sung upbeat, but Izuku had changed it to be full of heartbreak and unrequited love. The crowd went silent, astonished at the way Izuku was making them all feel. Some ladies had tears in their eyes and even Katsuki was moved. You had my heart but chose another. How can I ever trust you again? I treated you right, but you threw me away. How can I ever trust you again? He finished the last note with his head looking up and his fist covering his heart. It took the crowd a second to respond. The tables up front stood up and clapped loudly. Soon everyone was on their feet clapping and cheering. 9 Kiri looked smugly over at Shoto and Katsuki. Didn't I tell you assholes that he's amazing? Izuku performed 2 more songs with the original music. Katsuki couldn't help laughing at the 𝗕𝗁𝗏𝗧𝗏's perfect imitation of his saunter and smirk. He's going to be under all of us tonight, boys. Katsuki licked his lips, hardly able to wait until he got Izuku back to their place. 14 Midoriya walked out of the bar with a huge grin on his face. He wasn't sure how the crowd was going to react to his first performance and was ecstatic that they had liked it. He was about to turn left towards the train station when 3 guys stepped out of a black SUV. 5, can we talk to you for a minute? The taller one asked. Izuku was a tiny bit creeped out and looked around feeling better that there were still plenty of people nearby. 3 Katsuki took off his hat and glasses and chuckled at the change of expression on the 𝗕𝗁𝗏𝗧𝗏's face. It went from wary to fanboy in seconds. 5, oh my god, he shrieked. I can't believe this. Oh god. I'm your biggest fan. Shoto and Kiri removed their hats and glasses too. I'm gonna die right here. My heart is racing. I can't believe I'm actually meeting y'all. 8. Kiri smiled warmly. Care to take a ride with us? 7. Hell, yeah I do. Izuku got in the back seat next to Bakugo and Kiri. Shoto was driving. 1. Pinch me, I must be dreaming. Bakugo reached down and pinched his butt. Midoriya jumped blushing crimson. Be careful Bakugo. You break it you bought it. This might be my one and only chance to live out my fantasy, he thought. If they want me, they can do whatever the F they want with my body. He decided to be bold. Where are you taking me? 9. Kiri leaned over licking his ear. Back to our place. You okay with that Izuku? Let's do this, he thought. Midoriya unfastened his seatbelt and crawled on Kiri's lap. He kissed him hard while grinding his groin against the redheads. Kiri as his arms wrapped around Midoriya, holding him close. His left hand grabbed Izuku's, but while his right weaved through the green curls, deepening the kiss. They broke apart to breath. Kiri nuzzled Midoriya's neck, his hands grabbing his but pushing him harder against his 𝗧𝗏. 17. Share but wipe, Katsuki growled, yanking Midoriya off Kiri's lap and onto his own. 3. Izuku's eyes were blazing with lust as he looked at his idol. I'm yours. Do whatever you want to me. 𝗕𝗫𝗁𝗍𝗔𝗄, pick up the pace. Katsuki kissed Midoriya firmly, his tongue darting and devouring the young man's mouth. Izuku loudly afraid he was going to come any second and embarrass himself. 10. We're gonna need a safe word Izuku. 2. No we're not. I said you can do anything you want to me. I want it all, he purred into Katsuki's mouth. 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗔𝗍. Izuku got on his knees and unzipped Katsuki's jeans. He pulled out the blonde's 𝗧𝗏 and stroked it firmly. Come here 𝗧𝗍𝗧, he motioned for Kiri to get closer. 6. Kiri unzipped his pants, removing his own 𝗧𝗏 and offered it up to Midoriya. Izuku got his hands nice and wet and moved them up and down the men's shafts. Izuku took Katsuki into his mouth and deep-throated him like a pro. Oh my god Izuku, he huffed, his hand running through those green locks. Soon his hips jerked as he came into the greenette's mouth. Izuku licked up every drop. Izuku moved over to Kiri and did the same to him. Kiri is a louder lover and Izuku loved hearing the redhead's moans as his tongue ran up his long length. He took in Kiri's pee-pee until his nose was tickled by BakuHR 17. How are you so good at this? Kiri didn't last much longer than Katsuki. He shot his warm load into the back of Midoriya's throat. Kiri and Katsuki were both panting with sappy smiles on their faces. Midoriya had a 𝗧𝗏𝗍𝗔𝗍 grin on his face, proud of himself for pleasuring them so thoroughly. No fair, Shoto whined from the driver's seat. Izuku sat forward and whispered in his ear. Don't worry Shoto. I'm gonna eat that 𝗧𝗍𝗧, but as soon as we get back to your place, I want you to come on my chest and watch as I rub it into my skin. 31. Shoto put his foot on the gas, speeding back home. Izuku sat back in the middle seat pleased with himself. Kiri was kissing his neck while Katsuki put his hand down his pants, jerking him off. He owned all 3 of them and couldn't wait for the main course. 20. They finally made it to the boys' home and rushed inside. Clothes flew off in every direction. Katsuki picked up Izuku and carried him to the bedroom and placed him gently on the bed. For Midoriya looked at the 3 and said, "Oh boys. This is how we're gonna do this. Katsuki, you're gonna F my butt. Shoto, I'm gonna let you F my mouth, and Kiri, you're under me sucking me off." 15. Izuku got on all fours and tapped the bed in front of him, looking at Shoto. Kiri crawled under Izuku and positioned himself at Izuku's pages. Prep me, Bakugo. Then F me hard. I want to remember tonight for days. 12. Katsuki grabbed the lube from on top of his dresser and put a large amount on 2 of his fingers. He sunk them in, stretching out the tight hole, making Izuku go, "Okay boys. When he puts it in, I want you both to start your jobs." Katsuki put more lube on his 𝗧𝗏 and lined himself up. "Do it Bakugo," Midoriya demanded. "Okay." Katsuki grabbed his hips and pushed in hard. 1. Izuku hissed in pain, but looked over his shoulder and purred, "Wreck me, daddy." Katsuki picked up the pace. Midoriya let Shoto shove his pee-pee all the way down his throat. Shoto held his head tightly as he moved in fast, loving the drool dripping down the greenette's lips. 11 Kiri was busy sucking Izuku's tongue to take him all the way in while the greenette's body was moving back and forth being pounded from both ends. Nerd. Your butt is so tight. So good. Izuku at the praise. The vibrations making Shoto pause as a escaped his lips. Katsuki's thrusts became uneven, and he pulled out to come on Izuku's butt. He stumbled off the bed and grabbed a towel to clean off his cum. Izuku pulled away from Shoto and looked down at Kiri. Your turn, cowboy. F my butt. 18 Kiri wasted no time getting up behind Midoriya and sinking into the tight hole. Shoto, I'm gonna F your hole with my tongue. Get on your knees. Shoto smiled widely and got on his knees quickly. Izuku spread his cheeks and licked Shoto's puckered hole. Every time Kiri moved forward, Midoriya's tongue went into Shoto's entrance. The bicolored male was panting, rubbing his pee-pee while Midoriya moved his tongue in deeper. 12. So good. Kiri held on to Midoriya's hips as he moved in twice more. He pulled out and came on his back. Katsuki threw the towel at him and Kiri cleaned off Izuku. 2. Shoto, you're up cc. Izuku tried to sound confident, but in truth, his butt was sore. 4. Izuku. I'm actually a bottom. Would you mind topping me? Shoto blushed. 16 Midoriya was grateful. Hell, yeah I can. Since his back was aching, he laid down and placed Shoto above him. He put some lube on his and watched as Shoto lowered himself down. The bicolored male was moving too slowly for Midoriya, so he held him close to his chest and moved into him swiftly. Shoto was in joy. He loudly into Izuku's ear. Midoriya had reached his limit. He was seconds away from his 𝗕𝗓𝗄𝗃. He came hard inside Shoto, his body jerking from the intense pleasure. Shoto finished himself off and came on Izuku's chest. Midoriya chuckled and spread it over his chest like lotion. Oh God. I can't move, Midoriya said sleepily. You don't have to. Our bed is now your bed too. You're coming with us on tour, nerd, as our new backup singer. How do you feel about that? Izuku didn't answer. He had fallen fast asleep. Plus, F cute, Katsuki muttered, kissing Midoriya's forehead. For 2 days later, the four of them packed their bags to head out on a year-long tour. As Midoriya climbed the stairs onto the tour bus, he couldn't believe how drastically his life had changed. You coming, babe? Katsuki reached out his hand. Midoriya took it and smiled warmly. Izuku sat in the middle of the couch, Katsuki to his left and Kiri to his right. Shoto sat on the floor in between Izuku's legs. Midoriya sat back stroking Bakugo's hair lightly and holding Kiri's hand. Shoto was holding onto his leg, leaning on it for comfort. Izuku smirked, knowing full well that he was the one in control of these handsome men. He had become their idol. Dekubowl 8, what's your name? Midoriya snapped his fingers at the blonde who was walking around his studio. Sorry. Your art is amazing, Katsuki said, blushing. I've never seen anything like it. Your name? Midoriya asked again impatiently. Bakugo. Katsuki Bakugo. Fine. Come over here and let's get started. This painting here of the forest is going to be displayed at my next gallery opening in 2 days. I'm going to paint your body so that you blend into the background. You will symbolize death. Death. Yes. God made the first human from the earth, and in the end we are all returned to the ground. Like fertilizer, Katsuki chuckled. Midoriya narrowed his eyes at that. Don't be so crass, Bakugo. Katsuki's mouth snapped shut. He had heard that the famous artist was short-tempered and wouldn't hesitate to throw him out. Sorry, sir. Midoriya studied the young man who his manager had chosen for him. His face and body already a work of art. Midoriya didn't need to see him naked to tell the blonde has a nice body. His artist's eyes, after years of working with models, could map out the curves and muscle tones of any figure. You're okay with NDTY, correct? You will be naked in front of a room full of people. Covered in paint, but still naked. No problem, sir. Take off your clothes. I need to see my canvas. Bakugo blushed a little under the watchful eyes of the artist. Those emerald green gems penetrated deep inside him, making him feel vulnerable. He knew what was expected of him when he took the job, but knowing Midoriya would be looking at him so closely was a bit unnerving. I don't have all day. There's no need to be shy. Do you know how many naked bodies I've seen? You're just a canvas, not someone I want to F. 23 Katsuki was a tiny bit hurt by that. He wasn't used to being dismissed so easily. Most people found him attractive and were drawn to his good looks. He got undressed and stood in front of Midoriya hoping he liked what he saw. For him, not bad. That will have to go. This too, Midoriya muttered while he walked around Katsuki touching his muscled body. I'm sorry, but what will have to go? Your body hair. I need you to wax your PBZ and armpits. My canvas needs to be smooth. Is that a problem? 2. No sir. Midoriya shocked him when the artist lifted his member with a paintbrush. Your PP is quite large even when soft. Blending that in might be a bit difficult, but nothing I can't handle. Midoriya dropped the brush and caressed Katsuki's round butt. This is perfect. Not a dimple in sight. Smooth and firm, he moved to the blonde's back. Toned muscles. No tattoos to cover up. Izuku came back and stood eye to eye with Katsuki. You will do nicely. My perfect canvas. Come back in 2 days. I expect your body hair to be removed. You may leave now. I need to make some sketches. Katsuki dressed quickly and left. SHT, that was intense. Where do I even go to get waxed? I better Google that SHT. 20 Katsuki was a bundle of nerves. He wasn't sure how he was going to keep from embarrassing himself in front of the famous artist. He found Midoriya to be extremely secretary. His brilliance making him even more so. I need to JRK off before I come back. I'll be less corny. 2 days went by quickly. Katsuki's junk felt more sensitive after the hair removal that had been excruciatingly painful. He wondered why women purposely put themselves through that, but he wanted to be perfect for Midoriya. The show was tonight and he was asked to be there 2 hours in advance. Katsuki was surprised that it would only take 2 hours, but trusted that the famous artist knew what he was doing. 6 Katsuki entered the gallery and saw the artist wearing a robe and black sweatpants. His hair had been pulled back with sparkling barrettes that would have looked ridiculous on anybody else, but seemed to fit Midoriya well. 2. Perfect. You're on time. We don't have any time to waste. Remove your clothes and step on the tarp. We don't want to mess up the floor. Katsuki quickly undressed and moved onto the blue tarp. He stood up straight while Midoriya circled around him. Thank you for getting waxed. I know it's not a pleasant experience. Not something I ever want to go through again, that's for sure. We sometimes have to suffer for our art, Bakugo, he snapped. Yes sir. Sorry. Izuku brought a large cart overfilled with brushes and body paints. He removed his robe and placed it on a nearby chair. Katsuki's eyes widened at the perfectly chiseled pecs and CCV line revealed by the low-hanging sweats. Katsuki noticed that Midoriya wasn't wearing any underwear and couldn't help but wonder how big his PP is. 13 Izuku came over and pressed his chest up against Bakugo's and inhaled deeply. The artist moved his hands all over Katsuki's body and the blonde couldn't help but respond. Izuku was looking into his crimson eyes so intensely. Katsuki read that as an invitation. He lowered his head to kiss Midoriya when everything went wrong. 5. What are you doing? I thought I made it clear that you are nothing but my canvas. I touched you to get a feel for your curves. It wasn't an invitation for 𝗧𝗍𝗍𝗍. 10 Katsuki's body turned red. I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Please forgive me. Katsuki's 𝗎𝗀 died as swiftly as it had come on. He closed his eyes, unable to look at the artist anymore. A single tear ran down his cheek. He should have known he meant nothing to Midoriya. He was simply his canvas. 9 The next 2 hours went by painfully slow for Bakugo. Izuku didn't speak to him, nor did Katsuki look at him. He ignored every brush slide and finger touch from the artist. He wanted this day to be over and done with. Finished. Midoriya clapped his hands. Katsuki looked at him with dead eyes. The day that he had been so excited for now meant nothing to him. Come stand over here, Midoriya pointed in front of the forest painting. He moved Katsuki around several times looking for the perfect placement. People started showing up. Katsuki could hear them from behind the curtain. He started to feel a bit nervous, but took a deep breath. He closed his eyes. He was not to open them the entire time. He was to blend into the painting. Perfect. You will only have to stand there for 30 minutes, then you can shower in the downstairs office. I'll have my manager pay you on your way out. Katsuki nodded in response. You look good, Bakugo. My perfect canvas. His heart twinged at that. He hated being seen as only an object. He had admired Midoriya's art and had been so excited to meet him. I guess what they say is true. Never meet your idols, he thought. Look at me, Katsuki. The blonde's eyes started to water, but he blinked back the tears. Jade met crimson, and for a second a look of regret came over Midoriya's features. What was that look? Katsuki wondered. Never mind. It doesn't matter. Midoriya walked around the curtain and addressed the honored guests. Thank you all for coming tonight. I'll spare you my rambling and get right to my newest masterpiece, simply titled, Adam. The curtain came down and the voices went quiet for a minute. The guests drinking in the sight. They walked closer and marveled at Katsuki's perfect form and how well he blended into the background. After 30 minutes the curtain went back up and Katsuki knew he could leave. He went downstairs quickly, wanting to shower and get out of there. He would call his manager and tell him he never wanted to work for Midoriya again. The whole experience had been humiliating. He turned on the tap and waited for the temperature to be perfect. Once he got in, he let the water hit his face, washing away the paint and the tears that escaped his eyes. He braced himself against the wall and let himself sob openly. His cries were so loud that he didn't hear the curtain being pulled back. Bakugo practically jumped out of his skin when he felt strong arms wrap around his waist. He turned his head and jerked back in complete shock at seeing a naked Midoriya in the shower with him. You are no longer my canvas, but a man I could barely keep my hands off of. You have no idea how badly I wanted to kiss you today. How much I wanted to spread your legs and take you hard. I imagined hearing your voice and my name. 17. The look Midoriya was giving him left no doubt in Katsuki's mind that he was telling the truth. Izuku got closer and put his chest up against Katsuki's. Kiss me. Kiss me this time. The blonde hesitantly leaned down, not sure if he would be rejected again, but was pulled down by Izuku. The brunette kissed him hard, wrapping his arms around Katsuki's neck. His tongue asking for entrance and getting a yes in response. The white shower walls were splattered with paint as the lovers groped each other's bodies. Katsuki stroked Izuku's large member, hardly able to wait to feel it inside of him. 3. Izuku broke apart for a minute to calm his breath. I'm sorry, Bakugo. I'm sorry for hurting you. I wouldn't have been able to finish in time had I taken you earlier. Can you forgive me? Yeah, Katsuki said as he devoured Izuku's lips yet again. He dropped to his knees and took the large member into his mouth. He licked the tip using his tongue to tease the sensitive opening. Midoriya running his fingers through the blonde's hair. 1. My turn, Midoriya purred. He washed away the remaining paint and dried off. He sat Katsuki down on the couch and crawled in between his legs. He bent down and took one of Katsuki's sensitive ball into his mouth and stroked his at the same time. 1. Izuku pushed Katsuki's legs up by his ears. Hold them up, lover. My God, you're so CC. Katsuki got comfortable and shook his head that he was ready. Midoriya put his hands under his hips and bent over, kissing Katsuki's sensitive opening. He kissed around it, teasing the blonde, making him beg for it. Please, him. Please, Midoriya. 2. Izuku, Bakugo. Call me Izuku. He dipped his tongue inside the blonde, gently getting him nice and wet. Izuku, please. I can't wait any longer. Put it in. Hold on, lover. I need to prep you first. He brought out a tiny plastic tube and popped the lid. He put a few drops on Katsuki's hole and they used the rest on member. Katsuki looked at him with surprise. I told you I wanted you. I planned to have you after we were done working together. 1. Kiss me, Katsuki begged. Midoriya leaned over and kissed him and pushed himself in hard. Katsuki yelped at the sudden pain, but didn't move away. I'm sorry, love. I couldn't wait. I hope I didn't hurt you too much. It's fine. You can move. You feel so warm and tight. You're so handsome, Katsuki, he praised the blonde while thrusting in faster. His breath coming out in pants. So good. You okay, lover? Katsuki nodded quickly. So good. Don't stop. Harder. Izuku flipped Bakugo over and drove in fast. Katsuki held onto the back of the couch, his legs trembling with pleasure. Izuku, I'm gonna come. His body jerked forward as he came HRD on the couch. Just a little bit more, Katsuki. I'm almost there. So good. Midoriya came inside of Katsuki, painting his walls with his hot 𝗬𝗏. Katsuki couldn't move. His body felt sluggish after the intense orgasm. I need to get back upstairs, lover. Katsuki nodded, cleaned himself up, dressed and headed for the door. He wondered if he would ever see Midoriya again. Where are you going? I want you by my side. Katsuki grinned at the hand that was extended towards him. He spent the evening being introduced as Midoriya's canvas and new lover. 5 years later, Kaken, you look amazing. This is my best work yet. Katsuki had been painted to look like the night sky. The background twinkled with lights, making him look like an appealing constellation. My handsome canvas, Izuku purred. Husband, Katsuki said huskily. Not now, my love. Saying that to me will end up messing up my work because I'll want to take you hard. Katsuki smirked and closed his eyes. Tonight was important for his husband and he wanted to support him fully. So tonight he would be silent. Tonight he would be his canvas. BakuDeku Izuku sat on the cold examination table fidgeting with the cotton gown that didn't seem to want to stay closed in the back. He was anxiously waiting to see the doctor who was recommended by his friend Kaminari, a fellow 𝗲𝗍𝗍. Izuku hoped that Dr. Bakugo could solve his years-long struggle. One Dr. Bakugo has an impeccable reputation for helping 𝗲𝗍𝗍s with difficult problems. Problems like 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗍𝗏𝗧𝗏, unstable/erratic heats, slick deficiency, and most recently the difficult task of mark removal. Dr. Bakugo is a DMNT alpha, and because he can control his instinct better and not lose control around an 𝗲𝗍 in heat. He prides himself on knowing his clients trust him. Izuku heard a knock at the door before the doctor let himself in. He was looking down at Izuku's chart and took a seat on his round rolling stool and scooted over to him, still looking over his chart. So you're Izuku Midoriya. Male 𝗲𝗍𝗍, very rare, age 20 inch. He put the chart down and was about to go on, but found he couldn't right away. The young male before him was the most appealing 𝗲𝗍𝗍 he had ever seen. Those soft green curls nuzzled gently against his face that were dusted with cute freckles. His large emerald eyes are framed by long lashes. Dr. Bakugo coughed and got himself under control. Sorry about that. So Midoriya, how can I help you today? Izuku blushed. He was aware that the doctor found him attractive. Most alphas did. His problem brought him more unwanted attention and he needed help before an alpha claimed him by force. I have very erratic heats. They come on whenever they want. I have no control over it and suppressants don't work on me. You can guess how it's made my life a living hell. Dr. Bakugo nodded. If such a appealing 𝗲𝗍𝗍 were to go into heat in public, any alpha would surely want to mate with him. Has this happened already? Izuku looked at the ground and nodded. A few times. My brother, Shoto, always escorts me everywhere, so no alpha has been able to violate me. He's a DMNT alpha, so he's able to protect me, but I don't want to be a burden on him any longer. Not that he would ever say I was. 2. This is tricky. If suppressants don't work, the only other way is to be claimed and marked. Are you currently dating an alpha? He asked, hoping the answer is no. This 𝗲𝗍𝗍 called to him. His sweet apple-smelling pheromones are intoxicating. He wanted to put his nose in Izuku's glands and drink up that smell for hours. No. I'm not dating anyone right now. My brother tends to scare off any potential suitors, he chuckled sadly. It's not like any of them really get my 𝗲𝗍𝗍 purring. Izuku looked over the doctor and found him to be incredibly handsome. He could tell he had a toned body under his smock. His crimson eyes that were currently looking him over with interest were heating up his body. Izuku could feel slick already starting to leak out of him. He was mortified knowing that the doctor could probably smell it. For Katsuki could indeed smell it, and it took every ounce of self-control not to rip off that gown and ravish the 𝗕𝗲𝗍 and claim him right then and there. He couldn't help but release a bit of his own pheromones. The kind that stuck in 𝗕𝗲𝗍. For, why don't you lay down and I'll have a look at you? See if I can't find anything wrong. This exam isn't going to be very comfortable, but it might help understand your heat condition. I could call in a nurse if you'd like. Many 𝗕𝗲s feel more comfortable with an 𝗲𝗵𝗃 nurse present. No. It's okay. So what do you need me to do? The doctor brought up the stirrups from under the bed and propped them up. Scoot down and put your feet in these freezing contraptions, he said as he tapped on the stirrups. For Izuku blushed crimson. The doctor would definitely see the slick now. Izuku knew he didn't have a choice. He needed his problem fixed. He scooted down and gently put his feet in each stirrup, his body releasing a bit of distress pheromones. Calm down, Midoriya. I won't hurt you. I promise I'll make it as quick as possible. One Izuku nodded and covered his face with his arm. The doctor was about to discover that he was turned on. Midoriya wished a giant hole would open up and swallow him whole. 5 Bakugo did notice, and the alpha in him reared his feral head. A low growl rumbled in his chest as he looked at the 𝗕𝗲's perfect puckered hole that was dripping with slick. He wanted to taste it, lick it, drown in it. 7 Izuku heard the growl and his 𝗕𝗲 responded. His body heated up and slick started pouring out of him, dripping down the examination table. Izuku could no longer control himself. It was going into heat. He pulled off the gown and threw it on the floor. He sat up and pulled Bakugo into his arms. My alpha. He purred. 19 Bakugo lost all control as well. His alpha roared at him to claim his mate. Izuku was clawing at him, begging his alpha to take him. Katsuki undressed quickly and gathered his 𝗕𝗲 in his arms. He kissed him roughly, grinding their hard members together. 24, please alpha. Izuku pushed his neck into Bakugo's lips. Mark me alpha. Katsuki rubbed Izuku's back as his hand made his way down to cup the 𝗕𝗲's slick-soaked butt. He inserted 2 fingers into the wet heat and moved them like scissors. He needed to stretch his 𝗕𝗲 out to fit his large staff. Izuku clawing up his back. 7, alpha please. It hurts. Midoriya begged. Okay kitten. I'm making you ready for me. Katsuki felt that his 𝗕𝗲 was prepped enough and lined himself up, pushing the head in gently. The 2 in sync. Katsuki put the 𝗕𝗲's feet over his shoulders and pushed in all the way. He almost lost it at the feel of the tightness that fit him so perfectly. 13 Katsuki knew he couldn't claim Midoriya until the 𝗕𝗲 had come, so he moved faster. His body dripped with sweat as he tried to hold back until Izuku reached his release. Judging by the sweet mewls and gasps from the slick-drenched 𝗕𝗲, Katsuki knew he was close. Alpha. So good. Harder. Izuku was drowning in pleasure, hardly caring about the sounds he was making. 6 Katsuki grabbed Izuku's small member and pumped it firmly. That was enough to send the 𝗕𝗲 over the edge. Izuku threw his head back, dragging Katsuki with him. As the 𝗕𝗲 came, Katsuki bit down on his scent gland and buried his knot deep inside his 𝗕𝗲. Izuku purred with contentment, overjoyed at finding his mate and being claimed. 6 It takes a while for the knot to deflate, so they used that time to chat a bit. Their heads had cleared and they laughed about their situation. For, well, this came as a complete surprise. Katsuki laughed. Who knew I would meet my soulmate on an otherwise normal day? He looked down at his 𝗕𝗲 and got serious. You're probably going to get 𝗵𝗃 from this. I know we don't know each other at all and it might be too soon. He didn't really know what to say. He didn't want to put any pressure on Izuku to keep the pup if he wasn't ready. I've always liked the name Haru for a boy and Elena for a girl, Izuku said shyly. I want this pup, Alpha. For Katsuki was finally able to pull out. He kissed Izuku tenderly and wrapped him up in that cotton gown. He was going to wash him and give him proper aftercare. He was so gentle handling his mate's sensitive opening that Izuku couldn't help but purr. 7 months later, Elena Bakugo was born. She has dark green curls like Izuku and crimson eyes like Katsuki. Everybody in the hospital told them they had never seen such a appealing baby 𝗕𝗲. Katsuki kissed his mate as he held his precious baby girl in his arms. 26 Izuku smiled as his mate. I thought my body was cursed, but now I know it was a blessing. I found my mate and Elena is here all because of those pesky erratic heats. One Baku. Oh, come one. Izuku slammed his bowl of cereal down on the coffee table as he stared at his pictures thumping against the wall. I just straightened those, he whined. 11 He blushed for what was probably the 100th time as he heard the moans of pleasure seeping through the thin apartment room walls. They echoed in his eardrums, bringing up mental pictures of his CC neighbor pounding some lucky person up against said wall. One His neighbor, Katsuki Bakugo, local where, never seems to be without a brief companion for the evening. He FM and kicks them out the door. Izuku has bumped into more than a few of his trysts. They never seem hurt by the rejection. Katsuki made it clear to them that it was a one-time fling. The only thing that they all had in common is their looks. Katsuki only brought home attractive partners. 12 Izuku sighed as he looked at his own reflection. His wavy green locks are nice, but his face wasn't anything to write home about. He had been told he was cute, with his emerald green eyes and freckles, but a man like Katsuki goes for hot not cute. On occasion Bakugo has flirted with him, but it always seemed more like a joke than a come-on. The noise had stopped and the pictures on his wall were left askew. Izuku hears the door opening and closing and the shower being turned on. Izuku sighs, picking up his bowl of now soggy cereal and is about to take a bite when someone knocks on his door. He has no idea who it could be. He wasn't expecting any company. Izuku opened the door and finds a large package sitting there. I didn't order anything. He bent down and looked at the address label. This is for Katsuki, not me. This has happened a few times with letters, but never packages. He usually slips the letters through the mail slot and goes on his way. He looks over at Katsuki's door wondering if he should just leave it there and knock like the 𝗕𝗏𝗍𝗍𝗍 guy did. He's in the shower. What if he doesn't hear me knock? I don't have his number to text him. I'll just take it for now until he's out of the shower. He can't help but be a little excited to have a reason to knock on Bakugo's door. Izuku hears the shower turn off and waits a few minutes for the blonde to get dressed. Izuku usually only takes about 10 minutes tops to get dressed. He patiently waits until he's sure the blonde must be dried and dressed. He grabs the package and knocks on Katsuki's door. Hold the F on. Katsuki barks from behind the door. Izuku rolls on the heels of his shoes back and forth waiting for the blonde. The door jerks open and a very wet Bakugo is standing there in nothing but a towel around his waist. What the F do you want, Deku? Izuku's mouth doesn't seem to want to work. His eyes roam all over Katsuki's built chest down to his strong legs. They make their way back up to the blonde's mouth that was currently smirking under the greenette's perusal. You see something you like, nerd. 5 Izuku's face heated up as he moved the package into Bakugo's hands. This was put in front on my door by accident. So here. He couldn't help but look one more time at Katsuki's perfect pecs. As he turned to leave, Bakugo grabbed his hand. Come in for a bit, You've never been over before, have you? 12. I'll come over later once you're dressed. Katsuki grinned at the obvious discomfort on Izuku's face. It was adorable. His innocence was very attractive. It made Bakugo wonder just how far this emerald-eyed cutie would let him go. I think you like me just like this, don't you, Deku? He purred, wrapping one arm around Izuku's waist. He nuzzled his ear and whispered, come inside for a bit. I promise you won't regret it. Izuku's heart began to race. Okay, was all he managed to say. Bakugo led him inside and placed the package on his table. Izuku was looking around nervously, unsure about what he should be doing. Bakugo wrapped his arms around the shy younger male and kissed his neck. You ever been with somebody, Deku? Katsuki was beyond pleased when Izuku shook his head no. Well now, this brings the artist out in me. Will you let me be your fist, Deku? I promise to give you lots of pleasure. 51 Izuku started taking off his clothes, giving Katsuki his answer. The freckled cutie stood there awkwardly in only his underwear, not looking at the blonde. He did want Katsuki. He wanted him badly, but was afraid his inexperience would turn off the crimson-eyed hottie. Let's go to my bedroom. Katsuki led them down the hallways and into a room with dark red walls and black silk sheets. 2 red satin scarves were tied to the headboard. Lay down in the middle of the bed, cutie. The silk sheets felt wonderful against his skin. His arms moved, slipping across the surface, their dark color contrasting nicely with his pale flesh. He couldn't believe he was about to lose his virginity to Katsuki. A part of him reminded his heart that once this was over, he would be chucked onto the trash heap with the rest of Bakugo's lovers. For Katsuki crawled over to Izuku and took him into his arms. He kissed Izuku tenderly while his hands explored every inch of the brunette's body. Izuku deepened the kiss while thrusting his hips up into Katsuki's groin. "Eager, aren't we?" Bakugo teased. "I love it. I want you, Katsuki. I've wanted you for so long," Izuku murmured into Katsuki's mouth, his tongue licking Bakugo's bottom lip. Katsuki broke the kiss and grabbed one of the silk scarves and tied up Deku's left wrist. He tied the other next. Izuku's eyes held nothing but trust. "I'm yours," he purred. Katsuki got off the bed and grabbed a long, thin red candle. He lit it and brought it over to the bed. Izuku thought it was mood lighting until Katsuki straddled his hips and brought the candle closer to his chest. Deku's eyes widened when he realized what Katsuki was going to do. "Shook kitten. I won't hurt you. Trust me. The heat will feel good." Katsuki held the candle higher and dribbled 2 drops onto Izuku's chest. Deku jumped a bit, but it wasn't painful, the sting only lasting a second. Katsuki's expert hands moved over Izuku's body. He tweaked one NPL, making it irked before dripping a bit of wax on the sensitive bud. Katsuki. Feels good. Bakugo did the same to the other NPL. Soon Deku's chest was covered in wax drops, the fair skin turning a appealing pink. Katsuki blew out the candle and set it aside. He leaned down, kissing Izuku while taking off his underwear. Deku's cheeks turned as pink as his chest. No one had ever seen him naked before. "Well, look at what we have here," Bakugo said with surprise in his voice. "Deku's packing a big PP." Katsuki grabbed it roughly, stroking it a few times. "Katsuki. Please." Deku begged, "More, please." "So lewd, Deku." Katsuki grabbed the candle and brought the end of it up to Deku's mouth. "Make it nice and wet, slut." Izuku opened his mouth and licked the candle, covering it with saliva. Katsuki grabbed Izuku's legs and brought them up to his chest. He bent down and spit on Izuku's cute puckered hole. Katsuki carefully inserted the candle inside the untried tight ring of muscles. Izuku gasped at the foreign sensation. It stung a little, but not too badly. "You like that, Deku? Me F you with this candle." 34 Izuku could only nod his head, and every time Katsuki shoved it back inside. Bakugo let Deku's legs down, but didn't remove the candle. He positioned himself between Izuku's legs and took the impressive member into his mouth. He moved the candle in and out, matching the movement of his mouth. Deku could barely breathe. Between Katsuki's hot mouth on his aching staff and the candle hitting his peers just right, he knew he was seconds away from leaking. "Katsuki, wait. I'm about to." Deku arched his back as he came hard into the blonde's mouth, his breath coming out in plants. "I'm sorry, Katsuki. I didn't mean to do that in your mouth. It's fine. You taste sweet." Izuku blushed from the praise. "I'm going to untie you now." Katsuki removed the candle gently and tossed it onto the floor. He gently untied Deku's wrists, kissing where the skin looked a bit red. Izuku couldn't believe how gently the blonde was being. He felt treasured. "Let's do this face to face, Deku. You look appealing when you come." "I do." Izuku asked shyly. "Yes, you do. So FCC, kitten. I can't wait to see that blissed out face again." 20 Kaken, he stammered. "What was that?" "I'm sorry. I called you Kaken. It's short for Katsuki-chan. It's stupid. Forget I said anything." 18 Look at me, Katsuki waited for those appealing eyes to stare back at him. "Don't ever call me anything else. Ever. I love it." Katsuki kissed Deku hard, grinding his erken together with Izuku's. Both boys into each other's mouths. "You make it hard to go slow. I want you so badly." "Then don't wait, Kaken. Take me. I need to prep you first, Deku. I'm not going to hurt you." Izuku nodded and waited for Katsuki to stretch him out properly. Once Izuku could take 3 fingers inside him, the blonde finally lined himself up and slowly pushed inside. Deku held onto the blonde's shoulders, tightly gritting his teeth as Katsuki's large members slowly pushed all the way in. He held still, letting Deku adjust to his size. "Kiss me, Deku." Izuku wrapped his arms around Katsuki's neck and brought him down for a slow CC kiss. They broke apart, gasping for air. "You can move now, Kaken." Katsuki started off slowly, his arm muscles clenching, trying to hold back from pounding the gnat into the mattress. His breath coming out in huffs as he kept himself under control. "Faster, Kaken. Please. Hold me close, but move harder." "Okay, kitten. Tell me if it hurts, okay?" The room filled up with moans and the sound of bodies slapping together. Deku could never have imagined SEC could feel this amazing. "You feel so good, kitten. So tight." 15 Kaken. Kaken. Feels so good. Izuku was sure he was scratching the blonde's back up something awful. For Katsuki stared, thrusting in faster. His member hitting Izuku's sensitive spot over and over. Izuku sobbed breathlessly as a second orgasm rocketed through his body. His SMN painting his stomach. That's hot. Katsuki's body jerked as he came hard inside of Izuku. The blonde collapsed on top of Deku while he tried to catch his breath. He lifted himself off Deku and curled up next to him. "How was your fist time, nerd?" 2. "I'm on cloud 9, Kaken. I've never felt better." "Thank you." For Katsuki lifted Deku's chin and kissed him softly. "Let's take a shower together." He picked Izuku up bridal style over to the bathroom. Katsuki surprised himself by the care he was showing the gnat. Usually he would tell the person to get the F out, but Izuku was different. His shy innocence intrigued the blonde. He wanted to know more about him. Deku dried off and got dressed quickly. He was sure Katsuki would tell him to leave any second now. "Well, I guess I'll see you around, Kaken. Thanks for making my first time so special. Where the F do you think you're running off to? Plus, I just thought." "You thought wrong. Come sit down. Pick something to watch on Netflix while I make us something to eat." 1. "Really, Kaken?" Izuku smiled widely. "Sure, nerd." 1 year later, Katsuki and Izuku were sitting at a small Italian restaurant holding hands while sipping on wine. The waiter came over and lit the candle in between them. Katsuki jiggled his eyebrows, remembering their fist time. Izuku couldn't help but blush. They finished their meal and went back to their place. Katsuki was all his. Izuku could barely believe that he had won the heart of his naughty neighbor. 40.